Hey, today we are going to go through 10 underrated and underappreciated movies. So sit down, buckle in and stick with us. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. Number 1, Death Sentence. Nick Hume, Kevin Eggs and Bacon, is on his way home from a hockey game with his son and stops for gas. Helplessly he sees a street thug kill Brendan while robbing the station. Believing the justice system will shit the bed, Nick goes after the killer himself, setting off a war between him and the killer's older brother. Death Sentence didn't make any money or gain critical acclaim, but it damn well should have. A versatile cast, solid premise, blunt violence and a satisfying if unconventional ending. The actors really dig in and knock it out of the park. This is up there with Streaky Bacon's best work. Nick Hume doesn't have any fighting ability and barely knows how to hold a fart, let alone a gun. But then he slowly changes throughout the course of the film. It's all about what you would do if your family was seriously harmed, and you saw the whole thing. How far would you go and would you change in the process? It's brutal and utterly realistic. We don't see Smokey Bacon instantly turn into a hard man. He is a fish out of water thrown into a violent world that he helped produce. I caught this late one night and despite the time, I had to keep watching. I was hooked worse than a cod on a rod named Todd. I highly recommend it.
I'm coming for the rest of your family.
You just bought them a death sentence.
Number 2, Dead Man's Shoes. Set in a small, bleak, English town. After 7 years in the army, Richard, Paddy Constantine, returns to find out what happened to his beloved brother Anthony, who latched on to the local drugs cartel and became the butt of their cruelty due to his learning difficulties. As Richard begins to take revenge against the gang, the story of Anthony's life and fate unfolds, through flashback and revelations. If you called this a masterpiece, I wouldn't think you were crazy. A gritty and unsettling tale of revenge, set amidst a small northern England town rife with small-time drug dealers and criminals. Dead Man's Shoes truly shows Paddy Considine's acting chops as the grief-stricken brother, who has returned home to settle the score with the guys who brutalized his brother, and sent him into a life of chaos.
You make me very nervous, Richard.
Well, you should be. If I were you, I'd get in that car and I'd get out of here, man. So I'd hit you all.
This is truly a powerful and emotional tale, one that lingers in your mind. A movie you definitely need to watch. If you can handle the depressing tone. A British cinema classic. Number 3, Tremors 2. After blowing all the reward money from his first encounter with the giant man-eating worms called graboids, Earl Bassett, Fred Ward, agrees to hunt more of the deadly creatures at a Mexican oil refinery for $50,000 each. Knowing that he cannot face the monsters alone, Earl recruits Burt Gummer, Michael Gross, another veteran of the incident in Nevada, to supply the firepower.
I am completely out of ammo.
There is only one problem: the graboids have now evolved to attack above ground. The first time I saw this, I was so surprised at just how good it was, I forgot to wash for 2 weeks.
You serious?
It holds up well against the original. While you can't consider it as good as the first movie, the story is just the right amount of new and old to not feel like a lazy rehash of the original. The practical effects are decent, and the CGI isn't terrible for the budget and time of release. I would say that there is a lot more humor in this one and doesn't take itself as serious, even adding a couple of tongue-in-cheek jokes about being a sequel. While the other sequels and TV shows are enjoyable in a more camp way, Tremors 2 is a quality sequel that could have been easily justified with a theatrical run, especially compared to the quality of some of the utter horse piss that comes out these days. Number 4, Dread. The movie takes place in the post-apocalyptic city, Mega City 1 that has 17,000 serious crimes reported daily among its 800 million people. To keep the peace, judges have taken the place of cops. They are judge, jury and executioner.
He's not Judge, Judy and Executioner! He is!
The hardest of them all is Dread.
I'm the law.
He's been tasked with clearing out a 100-story tall apartment building/shopping mall hybrid, full of the numb nuts of society, which is where almost the entire movie takes place. This building is controlled by Mama, played by Lena Headey. She's a scarred, psychopathic prostitute turned drug kingpin with a trademark for excessive violence. She is a total badass and not to be messed with. Dread underperformed at the box office and received mixed reviews from the media, which is a real shame. For those who love movies like RoboCop, Starship Troopers and other similar films from the 1980s and 1990s, Dread is a comfy throwback to those wonderful films. It doesn't pull any punches and it delivers more in the first 5 minutes than the whole of Sly Stallone's attempt.
I am the law!
Number 5, Edge of Tomorrow. When Earth falls under attack from invincible aliens, no military unit in the world can beat them. William Cage, Thomas Cruise, an officer who has never seen combat, is assigned to a suicide mission. Killed within moments of landing on the beach, Cage finds himself thrown into a time loop, in which he relives the same brutal fight, and his death, over and over again. However, Cage's fighting skills improve with each encore, bringing him and a comrade, Emily Blunt, ever closer to defeating the aliens. While it was generally well received by critics, Edge of Tomorrow floundered at the box office, which is tragic because it's a bloody good movie. It is a rip-roaring, fun blockbuster action sci-fi movie. You want to know why? Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. Cruise is always committed to any role and proves he's still an action star everybody looks up to. And if you want to talk about a badass woman? Emily Blunt is the answer as Rita Vertosky, the Angel of Verdun. She has got to be the most talked about on-screen heroine that's outstanding and powerful since Ripley from Aliens. Also, I have to mention Bill Paxton as Sergeant Farrell for just having a great screen presence, and you can tell he had a terrific time here. He has multiple kick-ass lines.
You know, it gives me a swell of pride knowing soldiers of your caliber will be leading the charge tomorrow. Tip of the spear, edge of the knife.
Edge of Tomorrow delivered an outstanding sci-fi blockbuster that was well acted, action-packed, and breathtaking all around. This is always a movie I recommend to those who missed it. Number 6, The Frighteners. In The Frighteners, Michael J. Fox plays a guy who can commune with the dead. He can commune with spirits so well, he has his own corrupt ghost-busting service, and uses his undead buddies to go poltergeist in his clients' houses, then cleanses the home for a payday. Things get darker when a hateful spirit starts killing people off one by one, and Fox goes to investigate. The Frighteners is Peter Jackson's 7th film and the last one before he was catapulted to legend status with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Frighteners is the peak of the 1990s ghost camp. It's fun to watch all the way through, and the special effects were cutting edge for its time and still pretty good today. It's funny, lighthearted, dark, serious and unnerving all in one. It's like mashing a Cadbury cream egg into a blackboard and licking it off. I am not sure how this movie doesn't get mentioned or talked about more. Go check it out. Number 7, The Mist. After a powerful storm damages their main home, David Drayton and his young son head into town to gather food and supplies. Soon afterward, a thick fog rolls in and engulfs the town, trapping the Draytons and others in the grocery store. Terror mounts, as deadly creatures reveal themselves outside, but that may be nothing compared to the threat within, where a batshit crazy, Marcia Gay Harden, calls for a sacrifice. This movie almost entirely takes place in a small-town grocery store. The monsters in The Mist are not the movie's draw, their CGI was dog shit, even for 2007. Instead, the film is really about the complete breakdown of society, with one woman going fully off the reservation and becoming a cult leader. The shit hits the fan big time. The film moves along at a fast clip and pretty much everything is enjoyable to watch. The ending may piss some people off, but I personally think it was a decent way to end it. This is Frank Darabont's adaptation of Stephen King's novel, and it turned out to be a freaking good movie. It is chilling, terrifying, and very unsettling. Again, this is another film that came out of nowhere and slapped me in the face. To me, the mark of a very good or great film is it leaves you thinking about it long after you have watched it. This one definitely did that. It is very much a must-see to anyone who enjoys sci-fi or horror. Number 8, Kingpin. In Kingpin, Woody Harrelson plays an alcoholic, down on his luck ex-bowler with a prosthetic hand, who sets out to hit the pins once again with the help of Ishmael, Randy Quaid, this time for $1 million in prize money. The film was trashed by critics and bombed at the box office.
What did you say?
Making $2 million less than its production budget. Kingpin is a damn funny film, with Bill Murray in top form as a grade A jerk. Nearly every one of his lines is golden.
Tanqueray and tap.
Keep them coming, sweets. I got a long drive. Do me a favor, will you? Would you mind washing off that perfume before you come back to our table?
Harrelson also gives a hell of a performance. It's rude, sometimes gross, and some of the skits are crazy. Overall though, It's a ridiculous and fun film that deserved more. It's a damn sight funnier than 90% of the comedies they release today. Kingpin is a film that might not match up to the Farrelly brothers' masterpieces like Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary, but it comes close. It is a laugh-out-loud kind of movie, and though so much time has gone by, the laughs still stick. It's high-caliber, lowbrow comedy that still makes me laugh to this day. It's also home to one of the all-time greatest Bill Murray performances as Ernie McCracken. He steals every scene he is in. If you haven't seen this before, go watch it now and thank me later. Number 9, American Made. Tom Cruise stars in this biopic about Barry Seal, a real-life drug smuggler responsible for transporting a shit ton of coke for Pablo Escobar. Unlike Blow, American Made doesn't glamorize the hard and fast lifestyle. Seal wasn't a drug user. Instead, it's a fast-paced and sympathetic look at Seal, who by many accounts was a good guy, well if you excuse the drug smuggling. American Made went largely ignored when it was released in 2017, which confuses me more than a goat on AstroTurf. Every scene oozes Cruise and he knows it. The whole thing is pulled off with a wink and a nod and that billion-dollar all-American smile. It skips and jumps, shivers and dances, never, ever sitting still. There's a breezy sunniness to this film, which looks like a faded snapshot reclaimed from an 80s photo album. This movie received mixed reviews, but I found it to be entertaining, funny, and well put together. It's also mad that this is based on a true story. Go watch it now. Number 10, Chef. After a controlling owner, Dustin Hoffman, pushes him too far, Chef Carl Casper, Jon Favreau, quits his position at a prestigious Los Angeles restaurant. As he tries to figure out what his next step should be, he finds himself in Miami. Carl joins forces with his ex-wife, Sofia Vergara, best friend and son to launch a food truck business, and the venture provides a chance to reignite his passion for cooking, as well as his zest for life and love. This one came right out of left field and whacked me in the face. I chose to watch it one night out of boredom and I'm glad I did. After the stressful start to the film where all the conflict happens, this movie just glides into smooth sailing. This was both surprising and a good thing. A lovely feel-good film that is fun and uplifting. I also cannot think of another movie that is such amazing food porn. Check it out.
He's got one foot in the frying pan and one in the pressure cooker.